I look to my left in the lipstick aisle and I see a lipstick. Like my eyes land on this and I go, perfect. And I pick up the lipstick and it has a little number on the bottom of it. The numbers all correspond with little names. So I flipped up the tab and the name of the lipstick was Comedian.
Really?
Yes.
That's crazy. So for all the guys that heard that, it's just like when you try to find a filter at Napa and you flip the Fram chart up and it tells you the make and model of the car.
Do they make a car filter called Comedian?
I think it has no filter.
Yes.
And it's called Comedian.
It's called...
Welcome to the School of Laughs podcast, brought to you by schooloflaughs.com. Whether you're an aspiring comedian, a part-time pro, or a speaker who wants to become funnier, this is the podcast for you. We'll break down tools, tips, and techniques to help you get bigger, better, and more bookable. And now, here's the show.
Welcome to the podcast. Rick Roberts here, this week sponsored by Patreon member Jeff Roberts. Hey, that name rings a bell. Thanks, brother. If you'd like to learn how you could be a sponsor of the podcast with a small monthly donation, just check out schooloflaughs.com/Patreon. And if you are a Patreon sponsor at the $7 a month or higher level, don't forget this Saturday, September 17th from 1 to 2 Central Standard Time, CST, we'll be having our Google Hangout. Our Google Hangout is a time for me to kind of pay back the sponsors that help the podcast keep rolling. We get on a Google Hangout conference call and go over not only what's going on in our own shows and how we're doing out there on the road, but also what we do through Club 52, which is a 52-week email. I guess you would call it a mini course in a way, but it's 52 short to the point email challenges for the aspiring comedian and even the established comedian to kind of get their branding on track, get their marketing on track, social media on track, and all those great things that go along with being funny. So don't forget that if you're a sponsor at the $7 a month level or higher, that's going to be September 17th, this Saturday from 1 to 2 Central Standard Time. Hey, real quickly, a couple things before we jump into the interview with Sandi Joy Chadwick, which I know you're going to enjoy because not only is she funny and interesting, she's got a great laugh, and had a good time talking to her. A couple quick things. If you're in the Nashville area and you want to take the Business of Comedy class, it is also this weekend, Sunday, September 18th from 1 to 4 p.m., and that's right here at the headquarters of the School of Laughs in beautiful Hermitage, Tennessee, right by Old Hickory Lake and right by the old Hermitage Mansion. So if you want to be involved with that, we're going to cover everything about becoming a stand-up comedian, what comedians earn, how long it takes them to earn it, what qualities they have that help them earn that cash, and also what qualities comedians have that hold them back from ever making money from comedy. We'll talk very specifically about niche markets, college, cruise ships, churches, corporate. We'll also talk about how to market and brand yourself, what you need to spend money on now, what you can wait, and all those great things. So that's not online. It's an in-person class. So if you're in the Nashville, Tennessee area, again, Sunday, September 18th, 1 to 4 p.m. Hey, that's all for the announcements right now. There's some great stuff I want to tell you about at the end of the podcast, but right now, let's get right into this fun interview with Sandi Joy Chadwick, who I met a couple years ago through the Christian Comedy Association, and have kind of kept tabs on her. She's constantly writing, constantly working on getting her act together, and she's been full-time for just under 2 years. So a really good insight and look in to somebody who's been just doing it for a little while professionally, although she's had a little bit longer ramp up before she went pro, and how she decided to go pro and all that other stuff that goes with it. So let's jump right now into a fun interview with Sandi Joy Chadwick. I'm here with Sandi Joy via Skype. How's it going, Sandi?
Woo, I'm excited to be here. Super happy.
Well, cool. I was trying to think of when I first met you. It was probably 2 years ago, or was it longer than that?
I think it was just 2 years ago at the CCA. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, at the Christian Comedy Association conference in Atlanta last year, the year before this last one.
Yes.
Very good. And you come all the way from Philly area? Where are you at up there?
Yeah, I'm about 45 minutes outside of Philly, but it's one of those towns where you say the name of your town and no one has any idea what you're talking about. So you just say about 45 minutes outside of Philly.
Now, how much of the Philly attitude carries out 45 minutes from there?
Well, it depends where you're walking around in the neighborhood. And actually it depends on, I can Philly out on people. I can do it.
Right.
If somebody really gets them, I try really hard. Jesus has helped to save me from my Philly attitude, but sometimes it still sneaks out there.
Yeah, we've all got it in us. It's just
Yeah, right.
whether you let it out or not.
That's right.
Well, cool. Now, you've been doing stand-up for a while. I'm going to try to go back a little bit, then catch up to where we are now. But how long ago did you start? Let's start when you first started. Did you know you wanted to do stand-up, or did it evolve out of something else?
No, I didn't. I was looking back. I was always like funny, which I didn't realize until I started doing stand-up comedy and started kind of looking back at my life and going, oh, that's why I always got the comedy roles in all of the musicals and the plays, because I had a sense of comedic timing. But how it started, I was a singer for a long time, and was very identified with that. I was a person who led worship at my church. For those of you who don't know what that means, the short version of that is someone who kind of leads the singing at church, and sometimes it's alone, sometimes it's with a band. I did that for a long time, and then I lost my voice to vocal nodules.
Oh,
and
wow.
And I wasn't able to sing for 6 months. And so that was, I realized how wrapped up I was in my voice at that point in time, and said, wow, this is not fun. And then got my voice back, and then lost it again.
Oh, no.
And at that time, our associate pastor, who's a friend of mine, and she'd seen me do some teachings for like women's ministry, little things. And she said to me, you should be a stand-up comedian. You're so funny. And I said, well, I'm just like funny in the moment. Like I like riff off of people. She's like, yeah, what if you wrote all those moments down and then just recreated them on stage? Isn't that what a stand-up comedian does? Like, she's so sassy. So I don't know why, it just struck a chord with me. And so since I couldn't sing, I thought, well, let me see if there's something in this. So it started going well, and I was like, this is fun. I like doing this. I like making people laugh. So that's how I started.
That's cool. So were your first opportunities then in the church to be funny, or did you go to the comedy clubs or open mics? What?
Oh, no, I didn't even, I did. I just look at it and like, for like a comedian, I've done everything wrong. Like, basically, well, not wrong, just it's the way that the journey unfolded for me. But the first couple things I did were in the church, and then for our women's group, just kind of try it out. And then you kind of feel like, well, they kind of have to laugh at you, they're like your friends. So I had to go and see if I could maybe do this outside of just my church. So I remember my first gig, I got hired. It was a women's Christmas tea at another church. I made $35, and I was so excited. I'm people are going to pay me to do this? Are you kidding me? This is amazing. So then I did that for a while, and then I did eventually decide I needed to go out and see if I could do this at a club, and not have people just sit there and stare at me.
And how'd it go? Did some of the jokes work and some just not work at all? Or I mean, it's different.
No, it's completely different. And my goal was to basically go, remember my material, and not get sick on stage. Like that was my goal. Like I wasn't even about if people laughed or not. So I went. I was the only clean comedian there. I was also the only woman there. I'm sorry, there were 2 clean comedians, and I was the only female. And it was my first time in a club. But I was happy with how I did. I thought it went well. Didn't know that there were judges that were going to be there that night. So that was added to my terror as I was there.
Like, you found it right before you got on stage. Hey, they're judging.
I'm like, oh, they're judging. Fantastic. But it was a good experience, and the feedback I got from the judges was good. And they said, your comedy is very intelligent, which maybe not the best thing for this environment when people have had 4, 5, 6 drinks. Like, like you're giving them A and C, and they have to kind of, figure it out a little bit. But they liked what I did, and I had a comedian, Rob Miner, his name is, and came up and said to me, you can always learn how to write better jokes, but no one can teach you to have stage presence, and you have great stage presence. And so I took that with me and kept that. And I said, okay, I can get better as a writer.
Yeah. So that stage presence probably came from being in front of the church so much, leading praise and being fearless.
Yeah. And I stepped on stage for the first time when I was 9 years old. So I always loved being on stage and being a character. Always loved getting laughs. So It was never, I don't have that kind of fear. So
Right. And I almost think too, like to me at least, singing in front of people is more fearful than talking in front of people, because if they don't like what you're singing, that really means they don't like your voice.
Right.
Right. But they don't like your jokes. You just go write another joke.
Right. You're just like,
you can't change your voice overnight. I mean, you can evolve and get better, but if it's not that great to start with, it's going to be a longer journey. So I mean, all those years of being fearless in front singing, I mean, if you just look at your jokes as little miniature songs and you got to make each one hit the spot.
That's true. And just like singing, like, I mean, I don't like every style of music and I don't enjoy every style of voice. And so I don't expect that everyone is going to like my comedy, because it's not going to be for everybody. That's why there's so many of us. That's why there's an open field, because, we each have our own unique voice and we bring what we bring. So, I don't have to have everybody like me.
That's a wise stance to have. I can't remember. I think it was Mike Hickman, when I interviewed him a while back, said he started getting better the moment he stopped caring if the audience liked him or not.
Yeah, I want them. Well, and it's for me, it's different. Like, I would rather. I'm so needy, aren't we all?
Yeah.
I would rather they like me, and if they don't like my comedy, I'll get over it. You know what I mean? Like, but I was just saying to another comedian last night, one of my secret weapon as a comedian, when I get in front of an audience, I always assume that they like me, because I've given them no reason not to. And I come out liking them. I'm excited to be there with them, and it's a privilege for me to be there. So I don't feel like I'm trying to win you over. I just feel like, hey, I like you. You like me. We're friends. Let's have a great time together. And so that's really helped me.
No, that's good. It kind of sets everybody on the same playing field when you start out. And there's no tension there if you're all buddies.
Yeah, we're all friends. We're all friends here. Except for that guy in the back, but no.
There's always that one guy. There's always that guy who's just staring. Like,
they're just...
I'm asleep with my eyes open. This couldn't be more of a waste of my time. And you look at the guy and you're like, no, this is probably the best thing that's happened to you in a week. There's no other place you should be right now. Where are you going to go? Look at you. Look at you in your members only jacket. It's not 1984. This is great. Step into the 2000s.
No, but and it's funny because I have been a teacher as a profession, and also spent a lot of time with youth groups. And so I'm used to that. You blank stare, like, go ahead, make me laugh, make me feel anything. I'm like, whatever, I'll focus on you for a few seconds. But then if there's 90 other people in the room that are enjoying themselves, then I'm going to play to them and just assume that this isn't for you. And so you just take a little siesta back there until the next comedian comes on, and maybe they'll have what you're looking for. So
yeah, my wife calls it going to your happy place. Just stare at the wall and go to your happy place. So sometimes the guy just go into his happy place. So was teaching your last formal job before you jumped full-time into comedy?
No, my last formal job, I spent 10 years working as an optician for Walmart in one of their vision centers. And
And you were actually in some Walmart commercials, weren't you?
Yes, I was. It was just crazy the way the whole thing unfolded.
Tell me about that a little bit.
Yeah, I went to a stand-up comedy workshop with Judy Carter at the Gotham in New York City. I'd never gone to New York by myself, so even that was like huge for me because I was really nervous about that. So I went there and took this amazing workshop on stand-up and speaking, and it had you kind of list your credentials, and it said, ever won any major awards? No. Ever been on TV? No. Ever? And there was this whole list of things, and so by the time I got to the end of the list, I was just like, you're a complete failure. You're never going to succeed in this business. Like, you have like nothing. You literally have nothing. That was in March. Walmart decided to run an associate talent contest among their millions of associates all over the world. And so they put out a message about it, and I ignored it. And my boss, God bless her, Kathy Bubernack, if you're listening, said, you should enter this. You're so good. You're so good. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to win. They're not going to pick me. I don't know how to I had no idea how to put a video clip on YouTube. None. So went away for the weekend, came back, and they had extended the deadline. And it was like, seriously, it was like God smacked me in the head in the kindest of ways and was like, are you kidding me? Look Look at this opportunity. Not everybody in the world is getting this opportunity. You're getting a unique opportunity because you work for Walmart. So I spent 4 hours trying to figure out how to upload a 2.5-minute clip to YouTube that I could send my clip. Long story short, I made it to the semifinal round, and then there was some Facebook voting involved, and then it was going to go to a panel, I guess, of 10 within the, higher up in the corporation. And I remember I was outside washing my car and my phone rang and I picked it up and my boss just said, "You won." And I saw, like, I am a crier. I cry as hard as I laugh. So I was hysterically sobbing. And what that meant was that I got a chance to go to their shareholders week, which takes place in the Bud Walton Arena, which seats like 20,000. And so in front of about 6,000 of my peers, I was chosen. There were winners, international. There were 6 winners. I won for the U.S. And I got to go and perform. And I'm standing on stage in the same spot where Elton John has just performed the night before. And I'm just having pretty much an out-of-body experience going, oh, look, there's Tom Cruise and there's Kelly Clarkson coming on. Hey, Kelly, great job. Love your voice. I'm just backstage freaking out seeing all these people. But
they had Tom Cruise at the Walmart meeting?
Yeah, he was there. Hugh Jackman was there. But you're not like schmoozing with it. You're backstage, but you're not, you don't look at them. You just pretend that they're not even there. So
that's pretty wild.
Yeah, but it was an amazing experience. And the fact that I even got an opportunity to go out and do comedy in that arena in front of all those people was amazing. And then I got a chance to, before I did that, they had asked me for more clips, I guess, just to make sure I really was clean and that they could trust me on stage to do my time and not be like, I'm on stage now, I'm going to do 20 minutes. They said, you have 3.5 minutes. I was like, cool, I will make that the best 3.5 minutes of my life.
Right.
And they saw my other clips and called me and said, hey, the senior VP from marketing just happened to walk by and saw your clips and wants to know if you want to shoot a commercial. I'm like, hold on. Let me think about that. I'll get back to you. I'll let me have my agent call your people. No, I was like, yes. So I got to shoot 4 national commercials for Walmart.
Man, watch out for falling opportunities.
Yeah, for real. So I went from that workshop where, like, have you ever been on national TV? Literally, like, just a couple months before. So now I've won an international national TV, and I'd won a national award for Walmart. And the most exciting thing for me out of all of that was the VP. Her name is Giselle Ruiz. She happened to sit down in front of me before we were supposed to go up, and she'd already spoken. And I'm just sitting there going, oh my gosh, I still can't believe I'm here. She turns around and recognizes me. I haven't performed yet. And she's like, oh, I saw your video. I voted for you. I loved you. I dissolved into a puddle of tears. Oh. So for me, that was a real highlight, even more than being in front, like to have someone that far up in the company say, hey, I voted for you. Like, it really meant a lot to me. So I know people badmouth Walmart and there's no perfect company, but for me, I had a very good experience working there. And when I left, it was not because I had bad feelings. It was because I felt like I was supposed to leave to go into comedy full time. So, and here we are.
From the vision department, you almost didn't see the vision of the talent show to the point where you saw the vision of leaving Walmart on to bigger and better things as a stand-up.
Right.
So your hindsight's 20/20.
For real. Yeah, my hindsight is great. My hindsight's amazing.
And so what year was that when you said, okay, see you Walmart, going to hit the stand-up?
That was, I gave my notice in September of 2014, stayed through the end of the year, which was my intention. I wanted to give them a chance to train somebody else. And then as of January 1st, 2015, off we went.
So pretty recently, really, in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, it is very recent. And I have to keep reminding myself of that when I'm like, oh, I should be further along. I should be this. I should be that. It's hard, especially with social media. You see stuff that other people are doing and I'm always like pushing myself like, oh, I need to do this. And, oh, my website. And it's just hard to prioritize. Like, what is the most important thing right now? Because it all seems important.
Would you say that's the biggest struggle right now, is just trying to figure out where to spend the time and what's going to get you the biggest return for your minutes of the day?
Exactly.
Is there a specific thing within that, though, that you keep struggling with? Like, man, I just cannot figure out this piece of the puzzle.
I think for me, because I'm older, we'll say it that way.
We're both in the advanced stages of
Right,
youth.
the advanced stages of youth, exactly. I feel like I'm a lot more technically savvy than some of my friends my age. Like, I enjoy using, Instagram and Facebook, Twitter, not so much, but I'm on there because you're supposed to be, and Snapchat I mess around with once in a while. But in terms of, like, I don't know how to write code and do things like that. And so trying to get a website, I have a website, but it needs a lot of work. And so, but that's not something that I can do. But to pay somebody right now, it's that whole struggle of, like, where do I invest what I have? Invest a little here, or do I invest a little in, like, 5 different eggs, or do I just, like, chuck it all into the one big egg and do it that way?
Yeah. Farming up the website, just somebody can knock it out quicker, and so you can just get back to writing or, creating the next thing. That, like, your mental creativity is the only thing you can't farm out.
Yes, exactly. Oh, that's good. I'm going to write that down.
Write it down and send it to me, because I'll probably forget it.
Write it. Your mental creativity is something you cannot farm out. That's good.
What were some of the toughest things besides the where to put your time when you went full time into comedy? That first, it's really just 19, 20 months ago or whatever. But that first January where you're like, okay, I'm not going to Walmart today. What was your, like, how many bookings did you have on the books? Like, were you scared for your income? Tell me about the mental.
I feel like I had, and just so people who are listening know, like, I didn't just say, I feel like this is the time to quit, and then walked off my job. I don't recommend doing that. For me, I kind of had this one thing. As I wrote down, I journal a lot. And so I wrote down one day, like, what is keeping me at Walmart? And I wrote down this one thing. And then I kind of had to say, well, like, okay, well, God, you're bigger than that one thing. So I'm going to trust you. And then literally 10 days later, my boss called me, and that one thing was going to be disappearing. It was not going to be there anymore. And I went, oh, okay. So I had a conversation with some people that are close to me that I trust, and including my husband. And he said, and he's never said this, we've always, both worked. And he looked at me and he said, this is the time. If you're gonna make this work full time, this is the time to do it. Both of my kids were out of school. Our parents are relatively healthy. And so this was the window. And so, we, because it wasn't just we took the plunge. So I feel like it's a little different because, and we've made choices to, like, live more simply, and, like, we don't have, like, if you look at my TV set, or, there's no trim in my bathroom, there's just, like, things that are like, yeah, we can live without that,
Right.
So it definitely involves, making some sacrifices as well. But, yeah, I could not do this without the support, like, of my family, and especially my husband. He really believes in what I'm doing. And so, I'm trying to not just look at success as, well, once I fully replace my Walmart income, I'll be successful, because that has not happened yet. But so learning how I define success and what that looks like for me and for us as a family. And I made a deal with him because I worried a lot in the beginning. I worried a lot about the financial piece. And I finally looked at him and said, this is so counterproductive for me. If you need me, if the time comes when we're just not going to make it, and I have to go back, and I've tried everything I can try, and it's just not working, I'm going to trust you to tell me that it's time for me to go back. And that has not happened. And it just keeps growing and growing and growing and growing and growing. And it's amazing to me. It's just, wow.
Yeah, it's one of the, I'm with you. It's like every day you're like, I still get to do this, and there's more opportunities. And even in times where it seems, it might go 6 or 7 or 10 days where you're not getting any phone calls or an email that seems like it's going to lead to something, You can always double down and work on the business side of things, but you can always see it growing long term. It's you got to really have that big picture.
Yeah, you have to step back. Yep.
Short term will kill you if you're looking at just the next month or the next 6 weeks or whatever. Sometimes you got to really think about the long term journey, and it sounds like you get the family support behind that, so that's excellent.
Well, and I think I'm finding ways also. My dad is an entertainer, so I've kind of grown up around this.
What did he do?
He plays theater organ, and he plays behind old silent movies. And there was a time that he and his wife had a vaudeville show, so they played all these characters, and they had just all this crazy stuff. So I kind of come by this definitely through my dad. But I've watched him over the course of his life reinvent himself over and over and over and over again. So I'm learning that that doesn't have to be a scary thing. Like, that's an exciting thing. And so even now I'm looking and saying, I'm trying to be smart about, because your big gigs are usually on the weekends, but what can I do during the week? And I fell into it about a year ago doing, senior living facilities. And because I have the music background and other things, I'm able to go in and do, I packaged it as a show. So I do 20 minutes of stand up. I do 20 minutes of what I call is what's your story? Or basically it's like crowd work. But I have specific questions I'm asking them and getting answers, and then just cracking jokes in the moment with them and making them feel like they're the stars of the show instead of that it's all about me. And then the last 20 minutes, I'll go to the piano because most of these facilities have a piano, or I can take a keyboard with me. And I love the music of their era. So I'll play and sing with them. And that's how we do it. So it's like 45 minutes to an hour, depending on what they're looking for. So that during the middle of the week, when I'm not going to have a gig anyway, that is an awesome opportunity for me. And I just love loving on people. So it's a win-win as far as I'm concerned.
That's cool. And do you know why a lot of senior living facilities have pianos?
No, no, but I'm ready with my rim shot. I'm ready with my rim shot.
Because so many of their clients are organ donors. Okay. I just what I try to do every episode is make more people not listen to my podcast. So I just lost about 60 people there. I got to thin down the bandwidth, people, to make this thing work. Sorry. I
saw it. I saw the look in your eyes for people who are listening.
Yeah.
I saw that joke coming. I saw that.
Listen to this big flopper coming this way. Throw the sucker right on out. Hey, I'm not afraid to throw out a loser.
There you go. You have so much good stuff. You don't need to even worry about it.
Well, thank you very much. Let me ask you about this. I've left all my podcasts kind of open-ended. I just kind of follow where it goes. But I do want to start having questions that I ask everybody as they come on. So can you give me one of your coolest moments as a stand-up? The Walmart stuff's going to be hard to top, I would say. But, somewhere where you least expected it, a moment you're like, well, that was really awesome.
Yeah, this is the first one that comes to mind. Yeah, the Walmart thing in terms of sheer volume of people is just amazing. But I don't. There's a couple that come to mind, but I'll share this one at a women's breakfast that I did last September. A woman came up to me afterwards because I had lost someone very special to me last March. And so I a lot of times what I do with women's groups is I go in and I do about a half an hour comedy and then like 15 minutes of, like an inspirational teaching or an encouragement. And so I talked about that during that time. And, and a woman came up to me afterwards and she said, I'm a widow. I lost my husband. And she said, I don't remember the last time I laughed this hard, and so just that, that, and also people that you make a judgment call. Like one of the smallest shows I ever had was 12 people, and they were right there. And a woman in the front row, she came in and she was all like dressed to the nines. And I thought, this woman is going to hate me. I instantly thought that, and she was a little chilly at first. And then during the set, I asked about, does anyone have teenagers? And I heard her go, oh, 3 teenage boys. And so I took a huge risk and I walked over to her and I sat on her lap and pulled her head into my shoulder and cradled her. Stroked her hair, and I said, "It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay." Well, the room cracked up. She cracked up. And I realized, that's the whole don't judge a book by its cover. But that was a really great moment for me, because I feel like I'm good about sensing that kind of stuff in the moment. And I felt like that was going to be a safe thing to do. Uh-huh. Now, had I been wrong, I don't know what I would have done. I don't know how I would have recovered from that. But
that's funny. Well, all the good fruit's out on the limb, they say.
Yeah,
so
right.
You got to walk out there.
Yeah,
sometimes the branch cracks, and
you fall to your death. But whatever.
You still get the fruit because the whole branch cracked. Now you got a lot of fruit on the ground.
And a black eye and a couple broken bones. But whatever. It's
that's
fine.
Right. Comedy is an ugly business sometimes.
Yeah.
Another question I want to start asking people is, I think every comedian, every performer, really, in any kind of entertainment, I think they've got skills, they've got talents, but they also have at least a plus one unique quality. Like whether it be being able to think in the moment with the crowd, or bring in a certain level thing. If you had to describe like one thing that you could add to a show that maybe not every stand-up does or can, what would your unique plus one be?
Well, I feel like, I bring my singing into my act kind of as a surprise, but I know there's other people that do that. I don't do like full-on parody songs. This is a weird thing to say, but I feel like the best thing that I bring is an ability to build a rapport with an audience that, and probably because that's my goal for my shows too, is I want everyone, I want to build a sense of community in the room. You know what I mean? So it's not like, 200 individual people, like it's like building a community, and we're all together, and there's like this exchange. And it's not necessarily verbal. I don't really know how to describe it, because it's not like I want people yelling back and forth to me my entire show. Like that's kind of, but I'd say that's become my priority is the rapport. And I've gotten that comment from people many, many times that, wow, we just like, you built such a connection with us. So I think that's maybe something that's unique about me, because I've heard some comedians, and I think it may have been you, say like they like to go into a room and just, have not see the people, have it be dark, and maybe, no, it probably wasn't you.
It was.
Anyway.
That keeping the room light the whole time?
Yeah, like that doesn't bother me. I actually like being able to see people's faces, but that's because I haven't really kind of come up through, a club scenario.
Yeah, so. I like to see every single person.
Okay, then all right, me too. I do a lot of stuff with my face, and so if I'm dark, then they miss that.
Yeah. Well, cool. So what's on the immediate horizon for Sandi Joy?
I have K-Love Single Moms event. Single moms, talk about exhausted and just needing a break and needing to laugh and have some fun. So, and I got a couple of things in Atlanta, and then stuff up here. I have a women's conference. I have for my church, doing a fundraiser for justice. Called Freedom Nights. I'm going to be doing that with my buddy Al Smith. We do a lot of stuff together because he's local and we get along. So that's always a plus.
You're the only person I know that can get along with Al Smith. We can say that because he doesn't listen to this podcast.
Except now he will. I'm going to
get the word back to him.
I'm going to get such heat for this. Yeah, I got to say, I just wanted to throw this out. Like for me, and for comedians out there that are listening, I operated in isolation for 9 years. I did not know any other stand-up comedians, other people I would run into, but most of the stuff that I was doing shows on my own, getting hired on my own. I did not even know that there was a Christian Comedy Association or a Gospel Comedy Association. And so 2 years ago was my first introduction to both of those. And I cannot say enough about investing in yourself by investing in going to a conference, or, if it's not that, a comedy, like you have to spend money on yourself to get better at your craft and also to make connections. I did not realize how lonely I was, because as a musician, and I know a ton of musicians, I can talk shop all day long with the musicians that I know, but I didn't really know any other comedians. And so just for the friendships alone, that has been so invaluable to me. And really, really wanting to find a mentor. That was my goal the first year that I came out. And God put K. Dodd Stokes in my path. I'm not going to cry. No, I'm not crying. There's no crying in podcasts.
There's no crying in podcasts.
No crying podcasts.
I would just edit it out if there was.
Yeah, right. So just edit that out. But yeah, finding people that I click with, and it's just been such a giving experience, giving association. The stuff that I'm learning from you, through your podcast, through supporting, through Patreon. I'll tell you what, that homework is like the best thing that's happened to me this year. So there's a plug. No, I'm serious. I mean, I listen to the podcast, but knowing that there's going to be homework because of the level that I'm at in support, it's good. I need something. I need that. And that's really helping me to grow. And because of that, because of the homework I just did, like putting together an elevator pitch, now I can write a one sheet because I've already done the work for what needs to go on the one sheet. So it's all making sense to me now.
Well, that's cool. That's been a fun thing for me too, is networking with the people on the Google Hangouts. And
I love it.
Too.
Love it.
It's a very broad range of people and across the whole country, and it's been real fun. In fact, we've got that coming up again Saturday. So, and thanks for the support to you and everybody else that's helping through Patreon's kept this thing alive. So it's been great. The whole thing's been cool, and it's been cool to watch your journey as you go. I know you're on Instagram. It's Sandi Joyful, right? Mm-hmm. That website that we were talking about earlier, I know it's in progress, but if you want people to go there and check you out, where should they go?
They can. It's Sandi, Sandi. I spell my name with an I, not a Y. You'll never find me. SandiJoyComedy.com.
Well, Sandi, thanks a lot for taking time today to join us, and everybody out there listening. She's almost 2 years in, and still doing things, still work in progress, but making some success and some strides. So congratulations on that. And I'm sure we'll check back with you down the road a little bit and see what's new in the future, a couple years down the road.
Woohoo! Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Peace out, Philly.
See y'all later.
Hope you enjoyed that fun interview. I told you it's going to be fun with Sandi Joy. Quite a journey she's had from working in the Vision Center at Walmart to performing for the Walmart shareholders down there in Arkansas and seeing Tom Cruise around the corner, all the way to doing shows like she's doing for K-Love up in Philly and all these other great events she's doing. So really interesting to kind of get to know her better. I've known her for a while, but hadn't had that much time just to sit down one-on-one and talk about her journey, and I learned a few things there, and very, very cool story. And I'm going to keep tabs on Sandi and see where she takes her comedy from here on out. If you want to find out more about Sandi Joy, you can find her on Facebook. It's facebook.com/Sandi Joy Chadwick, Sandi with an I, Joy with a J, Chadwick, Chadwick. You can find her on Instagram. You can find her there at Sandi Joyful, SandiJoyful. She's on LinkedIn. She's all over the place. I'll have all this in the show notes. And, of course, her own website, SandiJoyComedy.com. Last but not least, before I let you go today, if you've been thinking about taking the online class, there is that coupon code floating around for just the month of September. It's 20pod20. That will get you 20% off of any online class. Usually that's just 20% off of the silver edition, but this will go across the board for any of the classes, diamond, gold, you name it. 20pod20. Use that coupon code at checkout. Feel free to email me if you have any questions about that. schooloflaughs@gmail.com. And I guess that's all I have for you today. Don't forget Google Hangout this Saturday, 1 to 2 Central, and the Business of Comedy class this Sunday, 1 to 4 p.m. Thanks again, guys. I appreciate you listening. Stay safe out there and stay funny.
Thanks for listening to the School of Laughs podcast. If you'd like to hear more School of Laughs podcasts, you can find them on iTunes and Stitcher.com. And don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. For information on upcoming live and online classes, visit schooloflaughs.com. Until next time, stay tuned, stay focused, and stay funny.